out there, YouTube? This is SEL0320. Last but not least, y'all knew it was coming. Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. This is my full disclosure, in-depth review, and kind of like analysis of it. What did I think about Return of the Jedi, the last one? A lot of people actually did not like Return of the Jedi out of the rest of them. Some people even said that Return of the Jedi is not even as good as some of the prequels, specifically Revenge of the Sith. Just to let y'all know, I just literally woke up. I looked at it last night. Really tired, and I needed to actually eat something, but I wanted to make sure I get y'all this review before I headed out to work this morning. So hopefully you enjoy it. So, what did I think about Return of the Jedi? First off, I loved, and I mean loved, the way that Luke was. And what I mean by that is, he seemed like a more well-rounded and complete Jedi. The thing that I don't understand about this is I don't know how he came from basically a novice in episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, to this one. So I don't know the time gap. It almost seems like it's a couple years. It doesn't seem like it's just like overnight. But at the same exact time, like, he asked Yoda a question. It was like, is Darth Vader my father? And I was like, if they had been training, which I assumed that was what was going on, then he would have, knew that. Like, I figured that he would have asked Yoda that. So it's like, did this happen right after? Or what was the time frame? Why wouldn't Luke have asked that question? So that was kind of like I don't know if that was a writing thing or I don't know. I'm not really sure. I have to kind of do more research on that. But that was one of the things I did love, as well as, oh my gosh, the emotional things that were going on between Darth Vader, the previous Anakin Skywalker, and Luke Skywalker. It was really well rounded. It was really well done. Specifically, one of the scenes that most impacted me was when Luke made the decision to decide to go and be captured by the Empire just to reach his father. Now, the last time he went to go save his friends out of blind faith and ambition, thinking that he's gonna try to save them. If you notice, looking at the prequels, this is the same exact thing that Anakin did with most of the motivations he did. But Anakin's a little bit different. He was not war driven, but he was driven with this need for being better than everybody. Like, Luke doesn't have that. Like, there's no other Jedi. It's just him. Specifically, like, he was the last Jedi after Yoda died, which I'll go into that in a second. So it was like his drive was to try to, protect his friends or bring his dad back. So it was like, it was out of this great need. But if I really think about Anakin, like, his need was to try to, like, bring back life and try to protect his wife. But it was like, it's a different hidden darkness. Now, the thing about this, though, is that I don't know if y'all looked at it, but when we finally see Luke for the first time, he's got his hood on, like, he force chokes two little, what's those little pig things called? I call them orcs. I don't know what they're called. But he chokes them out with the force. And I was like, wait, who taught him this? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, Luke got some darkness in him. Like, even like his attire was dark. And I was like, this is just how Anakin was. So it was definitely this real easy pacing that could have led him to the dark side. But that conversation that he had with his dad was definitely one of the most memorable, because he basically said, I've accepted who you are. Like, you're my father. But at the same exact time, he was like, I sense good in you. You can make it a different kind of way. It was like, I can tell this confliction in you. This is the dialogue Luke is having with his dad. And one of the things that surprised me is that Darth Vader was like, it's too late for me, son. And I was like, that's the first time throughout the whole entire series. It wasn't like it was just kind of like an instantaneous thing. You can tell through certain nudges, even like when in Empire Strikes Back, when he's sitting there trying to communicate over 2 different starships to his son, that it was like he has this need. It's not obsession, it's like it wasn't just for him to want to convert Luke. It was like this need to be able to be around him. And then in this one, it was more like I need you to be on my side. Basically, I don't necessarily want to kill you, and that's one of the things I was like, okay, there's hope for the universe. If I had never seen the prequels, then I'd be like, man, I can't believe this dude did this. But looking and seeing the prequels and seeing who Anakin was, I saw glimpses of that person, which is great. Now, let's talk about the scope, so visuals. They did go back as far as going back to Tatooine, the Sand Planet, Jabba the Hutt's little location. Those puppets were a trip. I think I'll say they did a good job with the puppet animation. Even the set pieces, like when Jabba's place exploded, that was in my opinion, one of the best explosions I've seen in those kind of older movies. I think it was 1983. I think it's when they came out. Or was it 1980? I think it was 1983. So I think that was a really good job how they did it. Even I guess the speeder chase, it was pretty well done. It's just, I don't know. I could tell there was a lot of green screen with it. But even thinking about how it was back then, I guess that was one of the pinnacle sets, because how did they even get those shots of the background? Having them going at a certain motion, and then at the same time, it has to be well acted out, kind of choreographed to make it seem believable. Because there are a lot of different points where you see people flipping off these speedsters, so they had to have had something, unless they had a pulley or something like that. So I think that was done really well. Even the final set sequence when you see Darth Vader and Luke battle, that whole layout was perfectly designed. Even the score is amazing. The score and the sound, how they get speeder sound, even the different languages for the different aliens, and even of course the final set, that was done really well. There are some things I didn't like about this episode, but I'll get into them in a second. I'm trying to speed through this. But as far as the visuals effects are concerned, I think that Empire Strikes Back is a little bit better. So I had to give the visual effects a 9.0 versus a 10 like I did the other one. As far as the sound, of course, always a 10. The acting in this one, I think that Luke did a great job. Between the voice acting with Darth Vader and then Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, I think they did an amazing job. Because Luke seems like a older, more seasoned, experienced Jedi from Empire Strikes Back. And that metamorphosis in and of itself takes a caliber of acting that it can't be just rushed or shown. It has to be kind of expressed in his mannerisms, how he does stuff. Even there were times I was thinking, man, Luke, dude, you're a borderline, chopping people up, I was he could easily have passed off for being a Sith that converted over to a Jedi. I know that sounds preposterous, but I mean, there are just certain nudges. I'm Yoda even said to him, he was you're not a Jedi yet. You're not going to be a Jedi until you meet Darth Vader. And it's he basically told him, that's the way, that you're going to get that understanding that you will not kill your dad, or you will not fight him out of prestige, that you're going to do what's right. But he said, beware of Palpatine. And oh my gosh, Palpatine in this one, this is the first time we actually get to see Darth Sidious, and the guy that does the Palpatine voice and mannerisms, he did a really good job as well. I mean, it come off as cliche, but I think it was executed really well. But James Earl Jones, he uses the same exact voice, but through a certain kind of expression, you can feel the emotional turmoil that's going on behind the suit. And in and of itself, I equate that with Tom Hardy's Bane, which a lot of people rag on that for, but if Bane had never been in that, it would not have been as good as it was. And I mean, I think that he probably took a nudge from James Earl Jones in this series, because he did an amazing job. I think who was lacking in this one was Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, Leia and Han. Only reason why I say that is because their dialogue together, with the exception of when they were at Jabba the Hutt's location, because Leia, she did her thing. I was man, she's a G, you know what I'm saying? just the way that they used her character, and even where she had that scandalous suit or whatever, like it was a really good kind of pacing and sequences with her character, as well as even Harrison Ford when he came out of crowd freeze. I was like, it was hilarious. It was some interesting, funny banter when they were on Tatooine. I thought that was one of the funniest things, because I think that Billy Williams' character, he had almost gotten killed because he was kind of stuck on the ground. He was getting eaten by this creature, and like Han looks at him, he's like, Chewie, move it to the left. And he tried to shoot the creature's, tentacle that was wrapped around his back. He's like, can you see? He's like, yeah, I got it. I was like, that was one of the funniest things. But it was like, when they get captured by the Ewoks, and they're on that planet, it was like, I don't know. It was like, not that they were forcing Han and Leia's relationship, it just seemed different. And I know that might have come from circumstance of what happened with Han. Like, Leia's just kind of just open about everything. But it was like their back and forth banter was kind of just gone. And it was like, they were just kind of like sappy lovebirds. And I didn't necessarily, I guess, like that as much. It was like the expression of love was shown throughout most of Empire Strikes Back without it having to be kind of pushed out at us. And it was like some of the one-liners and stuff like that, it just kind of came off really cheesy in certain aspects. And it wasn't acted as well, in my opinion, even though that flair was there and these are still two good actors. I felt like they could have done a lot better. And I think that might have been the way that they writ out the characters. As well as even like, oh my gosh, these Ewoks, which I'll get into that, because to be quite honest, I'm going to segue into the story. The story, the first part was excellent. The part with Luke, Darth Vader, Palpatine, that was excellent. That was needed. Now, even them going to the planet, right, to meet up with the rebellion, to go off this last stand, to hold off until they were able to finish off the rest of the Death Star. Now, the Ewoks and the Death Star, I think about the Death Star, I'll talk about that first. Having Lando spearhead to try to use the Millennium Falcon to destroy the Death Star. That's one of the most, iconic scenes, because I remember the characters and, the people in the interesting alien suits. It's the most memorable of the Jedi, because you're like, whoa! Or, yeah, like those are the ones that you can really remember. But it was like, how in this amount of time they were able to reconstruct some semblance of a Death Star. Like, really. And then they had to destroy it in the same kind of capacity they did from the first one. I was like, are they just redoing this? I was like, I don't know. It was interestingly action-packed. It was a better explosion for sure, especially seeing the Millennium Falcon come out. Like, even the Matrix took a nudge from that. When Neo came out of the building that was exploding. Like, yeah. Like, this movie did that first. But it was just like, was this really needed? The Ewoks, that whole thing, when I think about it, I think when Carrie Fisher's character met up with the first Ewok, I was like, okay, that's fine. But when the Ewoks capture Luke, Han, Chewie, and I understand Luke not wanting to, mess with this, uncivilized group. But the thought process that these Ewoks not only brought down the Empire, but captured, our heroes, and they just kind of let it happen. I mean, it was interesting seeing C-3PO. C-3PO and the way he interacted with them was funny, because they counted him like a deity. He didn't want to. He ended up telling stories where I think in the prequels or even the first movie, like you said, he wasn't good at telling stories. So that whole process was good. It was just, it took away way too long from the story. They spent way too much time with the Ewoks. Like, to be quite honest with you, I literally almost fell asleep. If I didn't, actually. During some parts with the Ewoks, I was just like, I don't know. I think it could have ended a different way. I think they could have spent a little bit more time with what was left of the rebellion and interacting with them versus these Ewoks on this planet. But it woulda, coulda, shoulda. All in all, like I said, my favorite parts were definitely the end with Darth Vader, with Luke and him taking the shroud off and seeing who he was, the man underneath the mask. or even the fact that Luke literally submitted to not killing his dad and saying, I'm not gonna, turn, even though he really wanted to. And like Sidious just shocking the mess out of Luke. And out of that gust of his dad saving his life, and what actually happened was he did end the tyranny of the dark side. Like, he made a balance. And it was like, even though it was a prophecy, it's a self-fulfilled prophecy that Anakin Skywalker still did, because he ended up killing or destroying Darth Sidious, if he's really dead. I'm just playing. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with The Force Awakens. But either way, it did work out in the end. But it was like, when it happened, they still had a lot of stuff that was going on in the background, and it kind of took away from that. I think it should have ended with that. But either way, like I said, seeing Ben Kenobi, Yoda, and then Anakin Skywalker at the end, and I'm not talking about CG version of Hayden Christensen, I'm talking about like the actor that, was in the suit. I think it was done really well. I guess that's my cue, y'all. I gotta go to work, and hopefully you enjoyed this in-depth review for Return of the Jedi. It's been a pleasure reviewing all these with y'all. Come tomorrow, it's going down. We're going to watch The Force Awakens possibly 3 times throughout this weekend. So hopefully you enjoyed that review that's coming up. We're going to do a non-spoiler review on Thursday, and then we're going to do a spoiler-filled review probably on Saturday. So keep it locked. This is JVS SEL0320. Just reviewed Revenge of the Jedi. Oh, dang, Revenge of the Jedi. See, I haven't watched too many of these. Return of the Jedi. I'm out. Gotta go. Oh gosh, turn off.